Welcome in to the Arkansas Sports Network's Hometown Sports Football Preview, proudly presented by Arkansas Tech University, D3 Auto Sales, and by Metcalf Trucking Company. Today we sit down with Benton Panthers head coach Brad Harris. This pigskin preview is brought to you by Shelter Insurance agent Todd Matthews.
All right, I'm here with Brad Harris, head coach here at Benton. Coach, your football team has had a lot of really successful years and players and things like that. Tell me about what you guys do as far as building a culture here and building different habits and things like that to get your team where you want them to be every year.
Right. Well, I think one thing that we start with every year is our weight room program. I think that starts with our culture. We talk about building players here. We've got really talented players. We don't have the best athletes in the state, but we have talented guys, and we try to build those guys up to the next level. And then we take some of those average players that are really good high school guys and make them really good high school players. But I think that's a big part of our culture. We really emphasize the weight room, like a lot of our high school coaches do already. But we talk about being built, Benton tough, and that's one of our big, pillars of our program is the weight room. And this summer, we'll work out 3 to 4 times a week, get in the weight room around our team camps and 7-on-7s and things like that. So, that's something big for us. Every day we talk about our effort, our attitude, and our toughness. Then we also talk about, hey, you got something to prove every day in life. So we're really pushing our guys with that culture, and they buy into it, and then they're out to prove something every day, and it's exciting. To come and watch one of our workouts, they push each other in there. They know there's a competition within our team, and then we're kind of ramping up right now to get ready to go to a 7-on-7 or team camp this week. So I had a little practice there. We're competing for those spots. We split our guys up in the summertime to kind of varsity and JV type guys, and so those JV guys want to become varsity guys. So it's a competitive culture each day, and that's what we try to breed here. But I think one of the biggest things is just pushing them in the weight room and building relationships. With our players. As a player, you always want to play for that coach that you like and you respect. We're not trying to be their friend, but we are trying to get to know them on a personal level and be respectful of them and their time and things like that. But I think that's one of our big culture pieces, our relationship with our players, and then our weight room off-season program that really builds a lot of strength and discipline and speed development, things like that.
You said that your team really prides themselves on their toughness and being Benton tough is what you said. Tell me a little bit more about that and what you guys try to do, and just what maybe some other coaches have told you about your team and things like that.
Well, one thing, every coach wants to have a tough team. They want to have a physically tough team. That's what we pride ourselves in is we want to try to own the line of scrimmage on both sides of the football. We want to be very aggressive on defense with physicality. We'll be a great pursuit team on defense and tackle well. Offensively, we want to be a pressure team. We want to be physical. We don't want to give them downtown, so we try to play hurry up style of offense and push that defense into making mistakes and things. But I really take pride in, from a defensive standpoint, of having a team that pursues the football as well as anybody around. I think that's a mental toughness part. When I say toughness, physically, we want to be physically tough, and that comes from the weight room portion of it. But mentally tough is we want to be able to pursue the football as hard as we can when we're tired. So we talk to our guys about that. Tuesdays is what we call Tough Tuesdays, and it may not be the most physically tough practice, but we're trying to challenge them mentally also, and get them in and out of different checks or different schemes and things like that. But so when we talk about building them physically tough or toughness, we talk about mental and a physical approach to it. But I've had several coaches over the years, compliment us on the physicality of our team, and that we don't give them a lot of space either on offense, defense, special teams. We're always pressuring them, and they don't get a break. And that's that's a huge compliment to me is when an opposing coach makes that comment. You want to be that team that's always applying pressure on somebody and don't let that team get in a comfort zone, so to speak. So, when we talk about building toughness, that's what we talk about, just all phases of the game.
So, talking a little bit more about the culture of this, of not just but just kind of the football in this area as a Salt Bowl. Tell me about what that game means to the players and the community and the school and everybody like that.
Right. I moved here 10 years ago, and I'd never been a part of the Salt Bowl because coaching on Friday nights. And one of my best friends in high school, Paul Calley, was the head coach at Bryant at the time. He was like, man, it's nothing like it. You get there, there's 15 to 20,000 people there. Well, my first Salt Bowl that I played in or coached in 2014, you get there in pregame, and there's 12,000 people there pregame and going through it. It is an event. It is to have the Salt Bowl, because it's like a college atmosphere bowl game where we have different press conference, different events through the week that both communities get involved in. It is hands down the best environment in the state of Arkansas, and it would rival a lot of games in the South. You're talking about, we've had as many as 36,000 there before. I think that was in 2018. Typically, we averaged 20 to 22,000 recently. We've got to make it more competitive. The last couple of years, Bryant's got away from us. I think in 2019 to like 21, 22, they kind of opened it up on us. They've been really good. They were 5-time defending 7A champs. I feel like we played them a little closer last year until we had some injuries. Depth-wise, they always wear on us. We've got a lot more kids than we've got. I think our ones are very comparable at times. But man, they just roll in a second group that's just as talented, and that wears us down. But, that culture, that environment in the state of Arkansas is as good as anybody. Bryant, Coach Kent Sanders over at Bryant, he does a tremendous job with the team since Coach James has gone to Conway. And they just continue to roll out really good players. We look forward to the game every year because it is a measuring stick for us. With them being a 7A school and us being a 6A, we always know if we can go in and play these guys close, find a way to win, we're going to do really well in our classification. Usually at the end of the year, I'll talk to Coach James or run into some of the players, and they're like, Coach, y'all played us as good as anybody did all year. So we come out of it sometimes feeling bad because they beat us, but we also know exactly where we're at after game one because they're going to find our weakness, and they're going to let us know what it is early in the game. So it gives us, we typically have a bye week after that. It gives us a kind of week to regroup and get ready for our regular season. But very talented team. It's a great atmosphere. If you've never been, you need to come. This year we open up August the 30th at War Memorial Stadium, and it's going to be a heck of a game. We're excited about what we've got coming back, and I know they are too.
So tell me about your roster for this upcoming season. Obviously, you guys lose Braylon Russell. He was a really, really talented player playing in Fayetteville now. Tell me about some guys that you're kind of leaning on to kind of pick up some of the slack that he left over in the backfield. And then tell me about some of your senior leaders. And then tell me about some players that you think might stand out who kind of might have a breakout year.
Gotcha. Really, it's really hard to replace a player like Braylon Russell. We don't have very many Division I SEC running backs or players, period, come through Benton. And, Braylon is a special kid. He enrolled early at Arkansas on January 12th, and he's going to get a lot of touches on Saturdays, this year. So it's hard to replace him. We've got a couple of guys that are going to try to replace him. We're going to replace the production, but it's going to be a different way, 6'1", 245-pound running back. They don't happen very often. So, but we've got a couple of guys. We've got a senior, Quentin Godley, that played some last year for us. He's coming back for his senior year. We've got a sophomore, TJ Williams. It's very explosive. Was really good in junior high. You don't really know what you're getting with a sophomore until he plays on Friday nights. But as athletic as anybody we've had, he's played slot receiver, plays running back. He's more of a running back style guy. But really excited about some things that he's going to do for us as a sophomore. And then we had a young man that moved in right at the end of school, Luther Tucker. And Luther is going to be a senior. He moved here from Southwest Little Rock. I think he's going to be able to add. Don't know a lot about him. He just started working out with us recently, but really like what he has brought to the workouts as far as energy and stuff. So that's kind of our top three guys. Then we got a couple other young guys that could crack into some playing time at the running back position. But, we're going to be a different style of offense this year than what we were last year. Last year, we could turn around and hand it off to Braylon Russell. And I don't know that Braylon got a negative run carry in his career at Benton. We don't have that anymore. We've got to make sure it blocked up, fits up just right. But what we do have coming back at Benton is we have 8 other starters coming back on our offense. We've got every one of our receivers back. We've got a quarterback back. Drew Davis last year was our sophomore quarterback, had a phenomenal year. He threw for 3,300 yards, 42 touchdowns, and only 2 interceptions. He's going to be special. He's got a chance to be really good. He's about 6'2", 195 right now. Last year he played at 175 pounds, so he's gained about 20 pounds this year. And he's very talented. Then we've got our top receivers back from last year's team. Elias Payne is a senior. Elias is probably 5'8", 5'9" on a good day, 170 pounds, and one of the most explosive athletes in the state of Arkansas. Had 1,180 yards receiving last year. So we've got him back, and then we've got our slot receiver back, Maddox Davis, who Maddox has started for us as a sophomore. Elias has also. So you've got 2 guys that are coming back with a lot of experience there. Maddox had about 900 yards receiving last year. He had more total catches than Elias did. Elias just had several big plays that kind of separated him yardage-wise. Maddox is versatile. We can put him wherever. We put him in the backfield. We line up a quarterback. One of the most versatile kids we've got on our team, but he's had a tremendous offseason this year. He's gained about 15 pounds. He's running in the low 4.5s really consistently, so we're excited about what he's going to bring to the table his senior year. The other receivers that we got from last year's team, our tight end H-back is Bronson Koulis. He's about 6'2", 240. Gives us a lot of different looks. We can line him up as an attached tight end H-back, or we can flex him out. And he's a brute. He's hard to handle because he's so physical on the edge. He also runs low 4.7. So he runs well, he catches football. He's getting a lot of looks from colleges. So he's kind of a tight end H-back, a mismatch problem for people. Our other receivers that we've got are Carson Collett. He'll be a junior. Carson played our X receiver, our backside receiver last year. He had probably close to 500 yards receiving as a sophomore last year. He's probably our fastest receiver. He's going to run low 4.5 every time he steps on the field. Probably the most explosive guy that we've got as far as speed goes. And then we also have Will Carter coming back from last year. And Will played both of our outside positions last year. So we've got 5 very capable receivers that played all last year as either sophomores or juniors. And then we're really excited about a sophomore that's going to be this year, Bryson Griffiths. He led our team last year in 9th grade. He had about 1,200 yards receiving. Maybe one of the most dynamic receivers we've had come up through our junior high program, along with TJ Williams. So we've got 2 really good sophomore skill guys that we're going to mix in with all these guys. So we won't look the same offensively without Braylon out there, but production-wise, you're going to see us spread it around probably more. Our back will be a different type of back, but we'll still feel good about all those guys. And then offensively, we've got 3 returning starters back on the offensive line. Our senior right tackle, Parker Blaze, he started for us for 2 years. He's 6'4", 295, 300 pounds, getting a lot of looks. He's got University of Memphis has offered him. He's got some Division II schools and FCS schools evaluating him right now. But he'll be back for his 3rd year. We've got our other offensive tackle, Isaiah Gibson, 6'2", 270-pound offensive tackle back. And then our guard, Daniel Jordan, who's 6'1", 300. So we've got 3 big bodies back, and then we've got some good young guys that we like to fill in the pieces on offense.
So you kind of talked about you have a lot of sophomores that are becoming juniors this year. In my experience, being on teams in high school and being around teams in general, it seems like there's a big jump from sophomore to junior year just because guys get more acclimated with the senior high game, and they know the coaching staff, they know the expectation, they know everything about senior high football. How excited are you about having a lot of underclassmen like that are kind of growing and getting kind of getting up there to where they're becoming the leaders of the team, and they're some of your main contributors?
Well, the big thing is the game, I think, starts to slow down for you as you play as a sophomore and junior, and you become a senior or junior playing, and that's what we hope out of all those guys that I just talked about. All of those guys are going to be guys that have played multiple years for us on Friday nights. And a kid like Carson Collett and Will Carter that played a lot last year as a sophomore, that they were kind of spinning a little bit. Speed of the game really got to them. I think this year it'll slow down for them just a little bit. They both have grown physically, gotten stronger through our weight program. They're not big guys at all. They're both 160-pound guys, but they're both very strong and athletic kids. Both of them run really well. So they're going to be able to handle that Friday night a lot better than what they did last year, And then a kid like Maddox Davis and Elias Payne that have played for 2 years for us, I really expect them to take that next step, and they're going to be the big leaders for our team this year offensively. And then Drew Davis, our quarterback, heck, he throws for 3,342 touchdowns as a sophomore. And I really feel like the game will slow down a little bit more for him. He's going to feel more comfortable in the pocket, having those guys, veteran guys in front of him just a little bit more. He's a real cool kid, man. He don't get cracked a lot under pressure. But we know people are going to come after him this year a little bit more because people are going to know we're going to throw it around a little bit more. We're going to be more of a wide open offense. So, but it is exciting to know that we've got a lot of guys coming back, kind of a veteran skill group coming back for this year.
Tell me about kind of talked about already your offense and what you guys do schematically and how you guys are going to try to kind of spread out a little bit more this year. So tell me about your defense, what you guys are expected, or what your coaching staff and yourself are expecting from your defense. You said that you guys pride yourself on toughness and physicality.
Right.
That can really come in handy with the defense. So tell me about what your expectation is for that unit this year.
Gotcha. Well, first of all, we returned 7 guys on defense from last year. We're missing 3 guys that are really going to be really tough to replace. 2 of them signed with Harding University defensive end. Peyton McNeil, he's going to Harding to play D-end. And then Chris Bernard, our free safety, and he's also our backup running back. Both of those guys have been 3-year starters for us, and they're going to be tough to replace. And then our middle linebacker, Chase Harding, he was kind of our hammer in the middle, 6 foot, 230-pound middle linebacker that started for us for 2 years. So we got 3 big holes to plug, but we really like the pieces that we have coming back on the defensive line. We've got Ty Mattia, who's a converted Mike linebacker, played defensive end last year for us. He's a state champion wrestler in the 215-pound class. Since wrestling's been over with, he's put on about 15 pounds, he's up to about 230 pounds. And remember I said he used to play Mike backer, so he moves really well. And that's what we try to do from a defensive standpoint, is get speed on the field, very aggressive kids that can play. But Ty's going to have a phenomenal this year because of his wrestling background, his quickness, his speed. He knows how to handle himself in the trenches. Played a lot last year as a rotation guy for us. I'm excited to see what he's going to have. Our other defensive end, Owen Seals, is very similar to him. Owen is coming off of a knee injury, but Owen this offseason has bulked up. He's probably 245 pounds now. He played at 225 last year. His offseason's had a tremendous offseason. So I'm excited to see what he's going to bring to the table his senior year. Not quite as quick as Ty, but still a very, very quick and explosive guy. As a kid that was a linebacker in junior high. As he grew, we moved him down to D-end, So we've got 2 guys that could probably play Mike linebacker for a lot of places at 245 and 225-pound guys that play D-end, so we cause a lot of problems with those 2 guys. We've also got another defensive end that, as a senior, I think he's going to have a really good year. Dominique Roy, he's 6'4", 245 pounds. He's grown over the offseason. Last year, he was probably 220 pounds. He's probably gained, 25 pounds, but he's also probably grown 2 inches, So looking for a breakout senior year for him. He's always just kind of been a very limited role player on Friday night, but he's had a really good year for so far through the summer. I mentioned Bronson Koulis earlier as an H-back. Bronson will also play a little bit of tight end, our defensive end for us, and flip him over. So we don't play a lot of kids both ways, but Bronson's that type of kid that we got to try to utilize on defense occasionally. Really like where he's at our nose guard position. We've got two guys, Mason Lassiter, who has had a phenomenal year last year. He was a role player, didn't play a lot, but we had two seniors in front of him. But Mason will be a senior this year. He's 5'10", 245 pounds. Weight room has been awesome for him. He benched 325 and he power cleaned 315 on our last max and everything. And he pursues the football really well. So he plays at that low pad level, but really good. And then Jay Alford's a kid that we got back out, played for us as a sophomore. Had some issues, came back to us going into the senior year. Jay's about 6'2", 250. And I think Jay's going to have a phenomenal year for us at nose. He's looked really good through off season and also through our spring season. So our defensive line really like where we're at. The heart and soul of our defense is Walter Hicks at linebacker. He's been a 2-year starter for us. As a sophomore, he had 126 tackles. And last year he had, I think, 110. And the reason he didn't have more than that is because he didn't play in the second half of about 5 games, so it was up big and he didn't play. But Walter is a special kid. He's about 6 foot, 220. One of the strongest kids I've ever coached. He's a 365-pound bench press guy, 625-pound squat, power clean 315. I mean, he's a dude. He's getting a lot of looks from a lot of the Division II schools and some FCS schools. Something he's only about 6 foot. So a lot of colleges are looking for that bigger, longer guy, but this kid plays well in the field. He's an enforcer on the field. He played our strong side backer last 2 years, but we're moving into the middle to keep him in the box all the time. So he'll be our Mike backer this year, and we're looking for a huge year out of him. And he's one of those kids when he hits you, he sticks on you and stays on you. He wraps up really well. So I'm excited to see what he does his senior year. I love that kid. 2 other interior backers for us is Jack Johnson, a kid that's been a rotation guy for us. Jack is a smaller version of Walter. He's probably 5'9", 190 pounds, but he's a weight room junkie, loves it. This year he's really come into, he's working on his speed. It's going to help him get on the field and stay on the field for us more this year. And then Nick Wright is our other senior linebacker that we're looking forward to seeing what he can do this year. He played a lot last year and split time with a senior. Nick is a 6 foot, 200-pound guy, 315-pound power clean guy, runs a little bit better than Jack and Walter both. So we play him a little bit in space, but he's really triggers well. Very physical kid. He's getting a little bit of college looks from Hendricks College line. Arkansas Tech has talked to him. So we've got some linebackers that can play at the next level also. One kid that we're really excited about as a linebacker that's going to be a sophomore named Weston Monson. Weston's about 6'2.5", 6'3", 175, 80 pounds. Not real big, but man, he's rangy, athletic, has a nose for the football. Led our junior high team last year on the defensive side. Also played tight end H-back, but we feel like he's going to push for some playing time there. He's a heck of a baseball player, so we didn't have him a lot during spring. But he's come over and he's looked really good so far. So I'm excited about what he brings to the table for us. A couple other linebackers that are kind of mixed. Connor Stevens is a kind of an undersized guy. A lot of teams look at him, and I think, man, we can run at him. But he's that kid that's very aggressive, runs to the football well. We also have Antonio Shelton, and then we've got a sophomore, Bryson Mattia. I mentioned his older brother, Ty. Bryson is going to be a heck of a football player for us. He's a sophomore. He's going to get to learn and grow behind these older guys, but really like that linebacking core. In the back end of our defense, we're a 3-3-5 team, so we play a 3 safety look, 2 corners. We have 2 of the 3 returning safeties back. Jay Thomas Pepper has played for 2 years for us, has had 100-plus tackles for 2 years in a row. He's that kid that chases the football better than anybody we have on our football team. He's always around it. And then Isaac Hill plays our other safety. We call him our Spur and Bandit, 2 outside safeties. And Isaac is a tremendous player. Last year came on out of nowhere as a sophomore, played very limited special team. But last year we couldn't keep him off the field. Just a kid that runs to the football well. He's going to run probably in the 4.7s really consistently. This offseason, he got a little bit bigger. He's probably 175, 180 pounds now. Power clean, 275 pounds. Bench press is 275 for a kid 175 pounds. That's pretty impressive. but has a nose for the football. Really smart kid, student of the game, does a great job back there for us. Our other safety most likely is going to be Cordell Payne, who's going to be a junior for us. Cordell played corner last year as a sophomore, so we're going to shift him back. He's more of a hitter, runs the alley well. That's Elias Payne's little brother. But Cordell feel like he's going to be that free safety for us, center fielder that can play over the top. Hopefully they can replace somebody like Chris Bernard. It's going to be tough to replace Chris Bernard, but Cordell has a chance to, ability-wise. So we're excited about those three guys. Another kid that will factor in back there is Landon Jackson. Landon played, he was a backup at Spur and Bandit last year. We used him in some packages, but really like what Landon has done this offseason to get himself ready to play. So we've got several guys that we feel like can maybe push for some playing time, but that's kind of our basic guys in that safety group. Our corners is where we got to have some guys come on this year, honestly. We lost Gary Rideout last year. He was a senior, but we do have a Marcus King back, who's been a guy that played for us a little sophomore and started last year. Marcus is probably one of the most athletic kids we got. He's 5'6", so a lot of coaches try to go challenge him with him not being as tall, but he's done a really good job over the last 2 years for us of being that mismatched corner that he makes plays for. So we're hoping that he has a great senior year and kind of anchor on the corner spots. We've got Javion Laws, a kid that played safety for me last year. I think I'm moving him down to corner. That's going to compete for one of our corner spots. And then a kid named Lloyd Adams that played a lot last year on our JV team. We really like where both those guys are at. We've got another kid named Messiah Holloway. Messiah Holloway's coming off a knee injury last year as a sophomore. Felt like he was going to play. So feel like we get Messiah back healthy. It gives us another corner. And then we've got another young man named Gunnar Deaton that's about 5'6", probably 160 pounds, that we really like how he moves around. So we've got 4 or 5 guys at corner. They're just kind of not proven right now. Marcus is the veteran of the group, with us moving Cordell back to safety. And we may end up having to move Cordell back to corner and play with it, but the back end of our defense is probably the question mark. Really like our box play and like our 2 safeties that we got coming back. But all of them chase the ball well. We're not the biggest defense, but they run to the football well, and they're very strong kids for their size.
So tell me about your schedule this year. Obviously, you guys played Bryant in the Salt Bowl. That's right. Every year. We already talked about that. So tell me about some non-conference games you guys are looking forward to, and then going in the conference, some teams that you're excited to play that you think might present a challenge, and then of course some teams maybe just in your classification that you're looking forward to as contenders or teams that you guys are going to have to go through to get where you want to be.
Gotcha. We open up with Bryant like we've already talked about, but our non-conference schedule this year, after Bryant, we have a bye week, and then we play North Little Rock at home. And I think that's going to be a big game for us, good game for us. North Little Rock's always loaded with athletes. I know they've been down just a little bit compared to what they were a couple of years ago. I think they've been to like 4 state championships in a row back in, about 17, 18, 19, 20, somewhere in that neighborhood, maybe through 21. But really talented team. Coach Clint Reed, he and I are good friends, and we needed a non-conference game, and they needed one, so we hooked up, and we'll play them in week 2 of the season here. So looking forward to that challenge as far as what the athleticism they bring to the field. How do we match up with that? And then in week 3 of the season, we play Harding Academy, and we were having a hard time finding a week 3 opponent. Harding Academy was, so we hooked up, and we're going to go to Harding Academy and play them, and that's going to present a challenge for us. They've won several state championships over the last couple of years. They're moving up to Class 5A, so they wanted to try to get a little bit better non-conference schedule. They throw the football around as well as anybody that we're going to see, and that's why we wanted to play them, is because they've got a veteran quarterback coming back. It's going to challenge our secondary, our pass defense, so we need to see that early to see what we have going into conference play and everything. So I expect, Harding Academy to be a challenge for us, and I look forward to that. I think it's going to be great for our kids to see them. They're a veteran team that's got a lot of success. Then we get into conference play in the 6A East, and We have Jonesboro coming back down from 7A, and we actually open up conference play with them out here. I think that's going to be a heck of a ball game for us. Just kind of see where we're at, see where they're at. I know they've been down just a little bit over the last couple of years, but we've had some really good football games with them over the last 6 or 8 years. Going back to 2016 to about 19, we played them every year in the playoffs when we were in the 6A West. They were in the 6A East. Now we're in that conference. So I know that they're going to have a really talented team. From that playing in 7A, their numbers have grown. They're one of the biggest 6A schools in the state. So I know they're going to be very talented. Then we go to, I think, Sylvan Hills. Coach Hull, they're doing a tremendous job of building that program. They've struggled last year, but I know he's had a really good off season by talking to him. Then we have Sheridan, Coach Kelly at Sheridan coming in there. So that's a new team, new attitude, new coaching staff that's bringing a wide open style of offense that we're going to have to try to defend. So it's going to help us playing Harding Academy to see that, see how they play, and everything. El Dorado is always a challenge. They got some athletes down there. Chris Hill does a tremendous job. They got to come to our place this year. So excited not having to make that long trip. But I guess probably one of the biggest games that we'll look forward to is week 10 is Marion. I think that's kind of everybody has us and them pick. We finish out week 10 with them at Marion. So that could be for the 6A East championship, or we hope it is, But we got after them the last 2 years. They've been really talented, really athletic, but we had just jumped on them early and kind of suffocated them. They didn't know really what to do. So I know they're going to have their stinger out for us, so I know they're going to get after us, And that's kind of how we had the last couple of years with the group of guys we had, because they put us out of the playoffs in 2021. So our guys have kind of looked for that game. Different group of kids, those seniors are gone that got beat by them. So, we're just going to have to play really well, but, I know that they're going to be really tough. Coach Clark does a great job with those guys. Some teams in the classification, you got to start with Greenwood in the 6A West. They won it last year, beating the Rock Christian, who eliminated us. Coach Young and them do a great job, and I think they're loaded. They got a lot coming back on offense, very similar to us. I think they lost a lot on defense, but I know that Coach Gill does a great job with their defense, and we'll rebuild that defense and get ready to make another strong run. The two interesting teams, I think, in the classification coming down is Portsmouth Southside moving down from 7A, and then you got Shiloh Christian moving up from 5A. So I think the West, that's kind of intriguing. How do they handle the 6A West? And then you've always got Lake Hamilton, who's running the wing T. Tommy and them do a tremendous job. They're going to be in your face and try to run it down your throat. So I think that's some teams that you look at. And I know Coach Airy at Mountain Home, they're doing a tremendous job. I've seen some of their guys at weight meets, some of their times, track meets and stuff. I think Mountain Home may surprise some people this year. They always get in the playoffs and upset somebody, it seems like. And I know that he's doing a really good job with those guys. And Russellville's kind of a wild card team over there. But, I look for 6A to be the most balanced and most competitive it's been over the last couple of years, And I know everybody's kind of already crowned Greenwood with everything to be, that's to be deserved. They've had some really good teams, really good years. But I think we're going to see them pushed by some teams this year, hopefully.
So, last question for you. What would your team have to accomplish this year for you to be able to walk away from it and say, that season was, up to my standard or up to our standard at Benton?
Well, one thing that I said when I took the job here 8 years ago, we started my 9th year as a head coach. I want to have a team that's playing over Thanksgiving week every year. And I think that's the standard that we kind of set here. We've missed it a couple of years, but we've been there more than we haven't been. I think if you're playing in Thanksgiving week, you're one of the final 4 teams, and I think that's a pretty good program if you can do that. And that's the expectation every year that I'm going to be the head coach here. We want to compete for a conference championship, which we've won over the last couple of years in the 6A West and the 6A East, but we want to have a chance to get to the state championship game. And the last 2 years we've done that. We've been beaten by Greenwood in the last seconds of the ball game, and then last year we got beat by Little Rock Christian with 1 minute and 36 seconds left, I think it was, and had a chance to go down and we turned the football over. But, I think we need to get back to the semis. I'm not going to say a state championship or bust, but we want to be able to compete for that 6A state championship every year. And this year, I would like to see our guys push and get to that state championship game. We've been there close with this group. The guys that are seniors have been just a few minutes away from playing in a state championship. When they were sophomores at Greenwood, I think there was 16 seconds left on the clock when Greenwood pulled ahead of us and beat us. And then, last year, like I said, less than 2 minutes in the game, and we don't convert. But I think the senior group that we got, if you ask any of those guys, they want to play for a state championship. Of course, we want to win a state championship, but getting there is a huge deal. And of course, we want to win it. But I think this year, getting to that state championship game would be one of our main goals, because we've been close, we've been knocking on the door. And I think that's the expectation these kids have for themselves, is just to get there and give ourselves a chance to win this year.
All right. This has been an interview with Coach Harris here at Benton. Coach, is there anything that you want to say about your program before we're done?
No, I think we've covered everything. I appreciate you coming out and covering the Benton Panthers. Anytime I get a chance to promote our program, I want to. So just look forward to seeing what you guys put out for us. Okay?
All right. I'm Carson Ward with Arkansas Sports Network. You can find Arkansas Sports Network on Facebook and on YouTube.
Thanks again for joining us on the Arkansas Sports Network's Hometown Sports Football Preview. Don't forget to like and subscribe to the Arkansas Sports Network on YouTube to catch more previews and all the latest updates on your favorite teams.